Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to our panel discussion for the morning. And we have a very interesting topic today, which is called Can Renewable Energy Power the World? My name is Yee Chew. I'm from Rystad Energy. And Rystad Energy is a Norwegian-based research and consultancy company in the energy space. So we provide data, reports, and insights in the energy world. And I'm from the Renewables and Power team for Asia. So I lead on a team of analysts across Asia, and myself based in Singapore. So today we have a very distinguished panel from various backgrounds, and I'll let them introduce themselves. So first we have Madam Vartika Shukla. She's the chairperson of Engineers India Limited. So, Madam, can you introduce yourself and your organization?
Sure. Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure and privilege for me to be part of this panel and to be part of the second edition of India Energy Week. I lead an organization which is primarily into oil and gas for the last 60 years. But from about 4 to 5 years, we have been working in the area of energy transition, as well as diversifying our portfolio beyond the oil and gas. The thrust, which is today in both the regulatory, the financial market, and the mode of project execution, particularly in the private partnership mode or in modes wherein it is supported by a policy framework, EIL is positioning itself with an excellent track record of doing mega projects all over the world, implementing them from end to end, from design, engineering, project management, construction supervision, transforming our spaces and our competencies to offer in areas of green hydrogen, biofuels, and newer technologies in the space of solar, our services. This is who we are, and this is how, when we are moving forward in the world of tomorrow, where we need to go to meet the targets individually as a nation and as a globe towards net zero, how we position our company EIL in that arena. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. Next, we have Mr. Gaurav Sood, CEO of Sprng Energy. So,
sure. Hello. Yeah. Morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to be part of this session with other distinguished panelists. I'm the CEO of Sprng Energy. Sprng Energy is a renewable energy company headquartered out of Pune. We are part of the Shell Group. We are a subsidiary of Shell. Our business model is to focus on generating competitive renewable power. We have almost 2,000 megawatt of installed capacity between solar and wind assets, whereby we are today supplying power through long-term 25-year power purchase agreements to various state distribution companies in the country. We have presence across 7 states in the country, and we have a very strong pipeline going forward. We are expanding at a very fast pace. We have another 2,000 megawatt contracted capacity, which is in different stages of construction. As part of Shell, we are now looking to play a much bigger role in the energy transition. One, of course, is to supply renewable power to the utilities, but at the same time, how we could decarbonize the commercial and industrial segment also by supplying power to them to meet their needs. The Indian industry has gone through, Indian renewable industry has been a very successful story, backed by very strong political will in the country. And we are very glad that we are contributing our role in this journey. Our business model is that we do right from project development, which means we either lease land, we buy land across various states, we go and sign the power purchase agreements with our customers, and then we are doing the entire engineering, procurement and construction for these projects. We set up these projects usually between 18 months to 24 months time period, and then we are operating once these assets, once we commission them. So right from development to EPC to operations, that's the focus area we have. Within Shell, we also have our trading, power trading business. So overall, we play an integrated play across the entire value chain, right from generation to trading and supplying power to both utilities and commercial and industrial consumers. Today our focus is onshore power, but we are looking at offshore wind as well as the market opens, and to new areas, be it green hydrogen, etc. As they are becoming viable, since renewable is a very large component there, we look to contributing there as well. So that's more or less about our company. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gaurav. And next we have Madam Engineer Nawal Alhanaee. She's the Director of Future Energy Department from the Ministry of Energy and Infrastructure, United Arab Emirates. Madam.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to participate in this panel. So basically, I'm the Director of Future Energy Department in the Ministry of Energy and Infrastructure in UAE, United Arab Emirates. Our ministry is very big, so it is in charge about the energy, both the clean energy and the petroleum. We are also in charge about the infrastructure, transportation, land, and also maritime. We are responsible on housing. So we have a lot of mandate in the ministry. Basically, in my department, we are in charge on creating and crafting the strategies for the energy sector, as well as preparing the policies that ensure that UAE achieve their targets. We have updated our energy strategy last year to ensure that we are tripling our renewable energy, aligned with the COP28 presidency call, where we have joined the global pledge for the renewable and doubling the efficiency pledge that was announced and launched in COP28 last year. In the strategy itself, we have the updated energy strategy for 2050, and also we have established the national hydrogen strategy. And I'll stop here, and please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam. So last year, 2023, we have seen record being broken across the world in climate change, and from extreme drought to extreme weather events such as tropical storms, flooding, and extreme heat waves across the world, both on land and oceans. So we have seen what climate change will be in the next 10, 20, and until 2050. That will have impact on all of us. So we have experienced, all of us have experienced one form of climate change in some form of extreme across the world. So now the thing is, if you read all the headlines from last year, it's really depressing. But we also want to focus on the positive side that happens in the renewable energy sector. And 2022, the solar PV, for example, reached 1 terawatt capacity installation milestone. And last year, global wind, both onshore and offshore, reached 1 terawatt of capacity installation. So, and we at Rystad Energy, we predict that the doubling of that will happen very, very soon. For example, the next terawatt in wind, global wind, will probably occur in 2029 or even earlier than that. So there's an acceleration in renewable energy adoption and installation across the world. And here in India, we have seen that the 500 gigawatt 2030 target is on the way and could actually be met earlier. Yesterday we heard from the Honorable Prime Minister Modi mention about pushing rooftop solar installation across 10 million homes in India. And then the government also announced, 60% increase in subsidy, increase to 60% of subsidy for rooftop solar installation across India. And a few days ago, we also saw, India first launch the bidding round for 4 gigawatts of offshore wind in offshore Tamil Nadu. So these are, small steps taken across different countries across the world, and but it quickened that pace of adoption of renewable energy in the world. So now we come to the panel, and want to check, want to ask, and all of you are from very diverse background, but we all have the same objective moving forward. So let's start with in terms of from the context of emerging economies, like most of the countries here in Asia. So how can public and private partnerships can be structured so that this whole renewable energy sector can be can move together to address that kind of infrastructure and financial challenges. We have seen that the headline numbers for renewable energy, the cost of it is going to be massive because we need to triple that amount in the next 6 years. So how can coming from the public sector and the private sector can move together to address these challenges and to move towards that goal? May I start with Madam? Yeah.
Thank you, Ivan. You're so right. I mean, when you have, let me speak not just for our country, but for, let's say, the global south, wherein, and specific to our country, we have 1/3 the energy consumption when you compare it with a global average. So we have an aspirational, population growing, and obviously to grow the economy, we need a lot of energy as well, of all kinds. So first of all kinds of energies, if I may say, are most welcome to be part of the ecosystem, to kind of be an enabler to this growth path. Now, 2 parts emerge for this. One is on the price point of that energy, and the second is on the demand side, on the consumer end. So when you look at the section wherein you need to invest and wherein the public-private partnership actually plays a very crucial role, therein the one is the commitment from the private sector or the companies who are not in the space of having any guarantee of a sovereign and such kind, do need the assurance and the kind of a long-term visualization of a policy and regulatory framework where they can go out and make that investment and get and return. I believe that any organization is in the business because of business. So they need to have the visibility of where their investment is going, definitely up north, so that they can get that, investment in. Now, the enablers on this partnership are very, very necessary to have the seamless implementation of the project, right from the conceptualization part, the clearances of it, availability of land, water, etc., and the right, window to approach to get all this in place so that it is the shortest possible time of project execution. And when it is the shortest possible time of project execution, the cost is automatically largely in control. And that is how you get the project online very quickly. So putting this PPP mode in a space where you have a clear visibility of what are your policies, what kind of support which is in place for a long term. The other aspect is most of the companies may not. A large company with a strong parent is possible to give a collateral and kind of a guarantee of a parent. But a lot of these companies, we are working in the spaces of waste management with the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. And we find there are a lot of interested companies who have the technology, who have pieces of technology, pieces of expertise around the table to put up these plants, but they are wanting in terms of giving collaterals to actually pick these loans. So the support structure in terms of providing these benefits, fiscal and otherwise, to enable this through a cooperative, through a subsidized or some kind of fiscal incentives is equally important for this to actually take shape and grow. And all this has to be done. It is being done. At least in the country like India, we have a lot of schemes to make that happen, and we have examples to prove that. But the pace has to be more. There has to be much more engagement and much more traction on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. What about you, Dr. Gaurav? What's your take on PPP?
No, I think, first of all, I think we are lucky we are being part of the emerging economies. We have a massive growth ahead of us, which means a lot of power consumption, power requirement going to go up. And as a result of that, for us in the emerging world, it's not just replacement, it's mainly new capacity addition, which really allows us to keep on adding substantial RE capacity into our grid networks, right? Now for a renewable energy overall growth scenario to be created, there are certain key ingredients which are required. First of all is land. Second is transmission network. These two I call as the oil of the renewable industry. One is the land and second is the grid network, transmission network. And third, of course, are the quality of off-takers when it comes to the bankability of those off-takers. And I think we have been, if you look at the power sector in India, it is open for 100% FDI in generation, in transmission and distribution also we are playing a role. We are coming up with some privatization there also. So there is already a very, very strong, robust framework put in place by the Government of India to attract the private investments, and that is on the basis of a very strong policy framework when it comes to debottlenecking all the key issues across these three areas. And let me touch upon each of these very quickly. For example, when we had to start the ecosystem, the government said large pools of land is an issue. So the government started coming out with large renewable energy parks, more for the solar based, but they said, okay, we will give you land, you come and set up the project here. So that was a very good example for a public-private partnership to attract the investment in the country. Then again, in transmission network, this sort of growth we require in the country, we have a massive ambition of 500 gigawatts of renewables by 2030. I think transmission is one of the most critical bottlenecks to achieve that. And for that, again, the government is rolling out auctions or bids to lay out this green energy corridors, renewable corridors to expand, which can take all this energy. Again, it's both private and public companies are participating here. Then when it came to offtake, the government again said initially, when the sector started, the financial capability of the distribution companies was not great, and which was a big deterrent for a lot of private capital to flow into the country. So the government brought in intermediaries such as SECI, Solar Energy Corporation of India, NTPC, NHPC, SJVN. A lot of these entities, REC, etc., have been brought in, which bring credibility to the off-taker. They have standardized the power purchase agreements. They have brought in regulatory reforms such as late payment surcharge. So a number of policy initiatives have been done, and across the value chain, each of the bottlenecks have been identified and they have been addressed one by one. You know, demand is being created, let's say a renewable purchase obligation being put in place. So all these are various very important policy interventions and mechanisms to attract this public-private partnership. Finally, a 500 gigawatt sort of ambitious plan means trillions of dollars of investments. And to attract that investment, we have to address all these critical issues. And I think the Government of India has done a commendable job, especially power being a concurrent subject, land being a state purview. So a lot of these issues have to be addressed both at the central and state level, and the government has been doing a great, playing a very good role. Even the auctions which we do to allocate these, I think from way back since 2010, these have been done in a very transparent manner, which has allowed all private companies to participate. And the criteria is primarily the most competitive power, which allows all global players to invest. And today, if we see in the renewable sector in the country, I would say 90% of the capital, or 80 to 90% of the capital, is foreign capital. And because this ecosystem has been created, this gives them the comfort to keep on investing and growing the sector and taking it forward.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Gaurav. Madam Engineer?
Yes. So basically in UAE, we have, first of all, in 2017, launched our national strategy for energy, the UAE Energy Strategy 2050. This what make us increase our ambition last year, where we revised this strategy to achieve 14 gigawatt for renewable energy by 2030. Within this strategy, we have not focused on one technology. Definitely solar is dominant. However, we also explore the opportunity of wind in UAE using the low-speed wind technologies. And also we are exploring the opportunities for geothermal, the hydroelectric power station. We also explore the opportunity to have the green hydrogen and also different type of technologies that could also contribute to the energy mix in the country. So in this energy strategy, we have crafted it by bottom-up approach, where we engage all the stakeholders, especially the national champions, and also we engage the private sector and the academia to make sure that we achieve our targets towards 2030 and also the 2040 and 2050 and beyond. This is very important for us as a UAE because we are a petroleum country. However, we have a legacy when it comes to clean energy projects, and especially the renewable one. We started back long in 2006, our first project, which is Masdar project in renewable. And we have invested a lot. We have invested almost more than $40 million till now on those projects. And we are willing to contribute more than 150 to 200 million dirham by 2030. All this expansion, like my colleague said, it's required a huge amount of investment. That's why we are already in place. We put our roadmap, we put our budget and investment, our local champion already in place. The transmission line, all the capabilities and needs, lands and all the criteria are already granted for 2030. But what after that? We have all our journey towards the net zero targets by 2050. UAE pledged that we will reach our net zero targets by 2050. So also we are working for this journey as well. So we are not stopping our journey. We are already investigating all the technology. That's why we need the private sector to be collaborating with us. The PPP, public-private partnership, it's very crucial when it comes to UAE, especially in our ministry. We are working with different companies such as also Shell. We have Siemens. We have a lot of companies that already work with us closely to make sure we achieve this journey. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Engineer. Thank you. So now I want to follow up. We all know currently, UAE, for example, you're rich in oil and gas, and India is rich in coal. In the age of energy transition, so luckily both India and UAE are blessed with solar and wind and other forms of renewable energy. So how can your country leverage this vast amount of renewable resources to meet its own energy demand, and also hopefully in future become the a leader in renewable energy space? And India already third in the world in terms of renewable energy, but how can India become the top in the world? And for UAE, how do you see yourself in the long run? So maybe we start with Madam Engineer. Yeah.
So regarding us, UAE already ranked second when it's come to energy transition pillar in the Green Energy Index that is published by MIT in 2023 report. Already we have ranked the sixth when it's come to the solar consumption per capita last year as well. So definitely we have a lot of accomplishment when it's come to solar and renewable energy in UAE. And the important part, it is the collaboration, international collaboration with us and also the Indian government. We already signed an MOU when it's come to green hydrogen, and we are activating this MOU. So basically what I'm saying here, the international collaboration between bilateral countries as well as enrolled or active participation in the international organization working groups to make sure that also we are aligned with the international guidelines and standard. This is very important for us towards the energy transition. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Engineer. Dr. Gaurav?
Yeah. No, I think India is already playing a pretty significant role. If we see in terms of numbers, in terms of installed capacity, renewables are already contributing to around 40% of the installed capacity in the power generation sector. When it comes to the actual energy contribution, of course it is on the lower side. Just solar and wind contribute around 12 to 13%. This is primarily on account of the intermittency of renewable power. And that is where the sector is maturing in the country. At one stage, we used to do primarily plain vanilla solar and wind projects at a single location, separate locations. From there, it moved to hybrid tenders, where the plant load factor started going up. And now we are already looking at round-the-clock sort of tenders, where we are contributing 75 to 85% PLF we are generating just only from renewables. Of course, this coupled with storage. Now storage, India, whether we like it or not, India is a very price-sensitive market. Storage needs to be at the right cost. So that is why battery energy storage is still taking some time. As the cost curves come down, we will see the renewable plus battery storage picking up in a big way. But a lot of companies have started entering into the pumped storage, pumped hydro storage. So once these plants also come, we will be able to give a much more firm supply going forward. Of course, with, let's say, gas pricing remaining low, even gas and renewables is a good source, gas coming only for peak power requirement, but overall cleaner fuels together contributing and growing renewables in a effective, efficient manner. So I think that's the journey which the country is taking, from plain vanilla, standalone solar wind projects to round-the-clock sort of power, and storage playing an important role. Of course, the price point needs to be the right price point. We are looking at offshore energy, offshore wind also to start fairly soon in the country. The government is really incentivizing the green hydrogen ecosystem by giving various sorts of, let's say, incentives for companies to invest. Maybe today the driver would be more in terms of exports from India for green hydrogen and ammonia, but going forward, once the domestic consumption or the domestic demand rises, maybe on account of certain obligations, etc., even that will pick up. I think another important role which India has to play is in the global supply chain contribution. I think India across sectors is considered as a factory of the world. Of course, China plays a very important role, but India is emerging as the second choice destination. And I think it's very important looking at the geopolitics, looking at the challenges which sometimes happen, that it is important that we have alternate, robust supply sources, and India has a very important role to play. For example, for wind, all the global OEMs in the world today have their manufacturing base as India, from where they are supplying to Europe, US already. India did miss the, I would say, the bus on the solar manufacturing value chain, but now with the government's focus on Atmanirbharta, I think we are really again focusing on putting up a large capacity for the cell manufacturing and over a period of time into further upstream in the value chain. We already have a substantial module manufacturing capacity in the country. For electrolyzers, there are a lot of companies setting up their manufacturing capacities in India. So I think, again, wherever we can bring our own market plus the frugality of India's manufacturing ecosystem, we have to play that together and contribute in the overall renewable ecosystem.
Yeah, thank you. So given the time, I'll jump into specific questions now. So Madam Vartika, given engineers India Limited, extensive experience in engineering, consultancy and project implementation. So what do you see as the most significant engineering challenges and opportunities in this, scaling up renewable energy to meet India's demand, in the long run?
I will just supplement a bit on your previous question about our nation. India as a country is part of two very significant global alliances. One is the International Solar Alliance, which brings together the value of not just what India brings on the table, but other countries as well, both on the supply chain of the manufacturing, the technology, as well as deployment of the same. Similar alliance on the Global Biofuel Alliance, which is not, it's a multi-stakeholder alliance, which again collaborates all over the globe. We have 22 countries which are partners of this global alliance. And the third is the National Hydrogen Mission, which was mentioned, about 5 million tons of green hydrogen by 2030, which is, now all these three, and I'm going to come to the question that you asked me, all the three broad alliances or frameworks actually underlie a lot of effort which has gone into the policies, some of them which was stated, completely open to 100% FDI in each and every investment that anyone wants to make, facilitation of identified solar parks, industrial corridors, which can be a hub and spoke model for a lot of manufacturing to grow, building up that supply chain. Now in that, another element which the government has very effectively put into place is the PLI schemes, which actually facilitate manufacturing, one of which are companies associated with in the advanced cell battery technology, which is being meted out, which is given out to companies who are looking at other than the conventional lithium-ion cell technology. Now, what is it going to do for the country? What it's going to do for the country is basically build up that ecosystem, a very robust ecosystem, self-reliant, Atmanirbhar, and also moving the country towards, the transition roadmap. So when you have the amalgamation of this and inclusion of these chemistries into the EV space, we are already seeing a great impetus in the three-wheeler, two-wheeler market, which will jump to the, passenger vehicle, the car manufacturing also. The greening of the grid is likely to happen. When the greening of the grid will happen with the, the intervention of the EV space build-up, automatically the entire ecosystem will have a scale and capacity to actually break that barrier to become more profitable and more, return-oriented to whosoever is investing it. Likewise, in the biofuels, when we're talking of greening the economy, the 20% blending of gasoline, which we are targeting to achieve by the end of, this year itself, is again building up the ecosystem right from the farmer level, step by step. Something close to 45,000 crore, something like $5 billion have already been benefited to the farmers. So, in the same manner, in the electrolyzer space that we are working, something like $2.5 billion are earmarked to grow this industry. How is EIL positioning itself in this changing scenario? One of the key things to any growth of any new technology is the identification of what is the right technology, what kind of R&D has to go into both indigenous and what can be brought from outside to build up this technology such that we have this in commercial space as fast as we can. And in that space, EIL has an extremely capable team of R&D, engineering, technology evaluation, which is looking at technologies in the green hydrogen space, all kinds of membrane, alkaline technology. And we saw some new technology which BPCL has done with BARC yesterday. And I happened to see some other electromechanical technologies also all to the world. So EIL is working towards analyzing and bringing these technologies to the country to the benefit of our clients. Likewise, in the biofuel area, we are implementing India's first biofuel plant based out of bamboo in Numaligarh, which is brought out from a TRL level 4 to 5 to TRL level 8, which is itself an accomplishment to give that speed and scale to the biofuel story. I believe that the companies who are in space of renewables and the traditional companies of the oil and gas sector have to collaborate and work together. And we form that bridge of giving the talent and competency on the table to actually make that project execution happen. And we are very well positioned, not only in India, but across the globe, to actually go and take up these challenges and these projects.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Dr. Gaurav, so in terms of, when we talk about energy transition, we always talk about a just energy transition. So community engagement is always, considered a key factor in the success of renewable energy projects. So, how does Sprng Energy involve local communities when you develop these renewable energy projects in your portfolio?
Not very clear.
No, yeah. So, this is in terms of engaging, including the local community, in your projects. Yeah.
No, I mean to say for all renewable energy projects, we need very large land area. We still need somewhere between 3 to 4 acres of land per megawatt. And if we want to set up 500 gigawatt of capacity in the country, we are talking thousands of millions of acres of land. So, and mostly these projects are set up in states which are resource rich, number one, which means that you are focusing in particular states for solar, maybe Rajasthan, Gujarat, AP, Karnataka, let's say MP, 4-5 key states. And then for wind, it is again Gujarat, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, MP, few other states. So, and since you require large pieces of land, basically you are going to areas where land is not, it is unusable land, etc., not used for agriculture. These are usually remote areas, but still this land, when you go, you are going, and land is something which is very close to everyone's heart. It is going in as generations, people pass it on from families, yeah. So you are going and setting up projects and becoming part of a community. So our approach always is that how can we become a part of that community, because that is their asset. Of course, we own them, but it is set up in their ecosystem. They have to own it, accept it, and really contribute to it, not only during construction, but during the entire operations phase. I think with that approach of looking at how we can work with the community, take the community along, is how you can actually set up these projects in a successful manner in the long term. Yeah. Usually we work with, we have few pillars on which we work. We have education as an important pillar. We have sanitation as an important pillar. We have job creation or skill development as an important pillar. I think these are the 2-3 pillars which we as a company, Sprng and Shell, we focus on and work with our communities. We will take up local schools, we will improve their infrastructure, we will set up sanitation facilities, we will have self-help groups to teach various vocational trainings. Some is for renewable sector, some is for other skill sets, etc. But I mean to say the key point is how the community benefits with our presence. And also, for example, usually we don't prefer buying land, we prefer leasing land. It's a continuous income for the people. Then we use them during construction, we use their equipment, we use the manpower, we train the local people, we want to use the engineers, technicians from the local areas. So I think that's how you work and make sure that the community accepts these assets as their own assets, then only you can successfully run them, and that's our approach towards it.
Thank you, Dr. Gaurav.
Thank you.
So for Madam Engineer Nawal, so UAE has a very successful COP28 last year. So great job, and there's a lot of milestones that are being put forth and also being already met during the COP28. So and we see how important that international cooperation is when it comes to the success of addressing climate change and also tripling renewable energy by end of this decade. So maybe can you elaborate more on UAE's approach to international partnership and collaboration in this area in the field of renewable energy?
So definitely, thank you. So basically, when it's come to international collaboration towards increasing making sure that we expedite the work in the renewable energy aspect, UAE already have a lot of partnership, as I said earlier. One of the big or amazing initiative that we have been membership last year was the biofuel, the Global Biofuel Alliance, where India government has launched this initiative in G20, and UAE already has been contributed and been part of this. So basically, this is one of the potential areas that we think that UAE could play a significant role and benefit from Indians and the other countries that was enrolled in this aspect. Another big initiative that we have already enrolled in place, which is the International Hydrogen Trade Forum, where we co-chair this forum with our Netherlands counterpart, and we have more than 14 countries a member in this platform. This platform is an international platform that makes sure that we as exporting country and the importing country have a concrete projects in place, and we identify the green corridors that will be used for the hydrogen to be traded and so forth. So those platforms are very significant platform to make sure that we achieve our renewable targets as a country, as well as help other countries, because UAE is not only doing the business inside the country, we already invest outside the countries. We have already spent more than $50 billion till now in more than 20 countries abroad. So some of them are commercial projects and some of them humanitarian projects, like helping the other countries to achieve their targets. I'll stop here because I see the time is up, so the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Madam Engineer. Maybe it's good time we wrap this up as well. So maybe within 1 minute, we can answer the question, let's see, in 2050, if you look ahead in 2050, can renewable energy power the world, by then? Maybe we start with Madam Vartika.
Well, I have no ability to look into the crystal ball and predict, but I will try my best. In my view, I think it will be in a position to be a very key element in the whole space of energy. I'm a little skeptic in a manner that there could be some things which we have not seen when we look at the life cycle analysis, carbon footprinting at the entire, as they say, well-to-wheel kind of story. But there is a lot of energy in the space of new technologies and innovations. And human character is such, and we surpassed COVID because of that ability to do the impossible possible. So I'm sure with that spirit of innovation, spirit of breaking barriers, we will have the renewable as a key player of global energy.
Thank you, Madam Vartika. Dr. Gaurav?
I think over time, the climate change related issues are going to become more and more critical, serious. So I think countries which are really serious about it are already on the path, but I think everyone will have no choice but to work towards decarbonization in a very focused manner. It will not be a choice any longer, and that is why I see that overall renewables will be at the center of this strategic piece. There will be, of course, a lot of focus on clean energy technologies, relatively cleaner fuels. There will be a presence of all types of fuels still, because we need reliability, we need quick ramp up, etc. But yes, overall in the grid, a lot of renewables will be there across the world. That percentage will be much higher than what we are seeing today, or let's say we have envisioned. So I think the direction is very clearly there. There have to be a lot of, let's say, learning to be done on how to keep our grids stabilized, our grids, let's say, react to all this intermittency, how to make it more firm up. A lot of effort will happen there. There will be definitely focus on controlling supply chains for the critical elements, etc. So, once again, I think the direction is very clearly towards more and more cleaner fuels in decades to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gaurav. And Madam Engineer Nawal?
So I think for me, I will say that there is no one technology or answer fits all. So all technology should be considered towards achieving the renewable targets that was set. I think the global renewable and the double efficiency pledge that was launched last year at COP28, there was more than 130 countries committed to this pledge. So there is a potential to achieve those renewable targets that is necessary to achieve the Paris Agreement goals by 2030. So definitely there is a hope, but we have to collaborate with each other, and definitely international collaboration is the key towards achieving those targets. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very well said. So I think everyone here has heard from our very distinguished panelists on their take on whether renewable energy, the current state, and whether in the future whether it can power the world. I think I can just very quickly summarize. Everyone here is optimistic, and we have seen the pathway that renewable energy is taking, and this is a very critical step for us to decarbonize to achieve a net zero future, so that we can lower down the impact of climate change in the future. So please, give a warm applause to our panelists for their insights and their points. Thank you very much. Thank you.